Biofriendly podcast. It's the Biofriendly podcast.
Hey.
That is my favorite start of our show.
Hey.
Probably ever. When you say that, like, gosh, I feel like I don't like.
How do I say it?
The way that you said that, I felt like I was watching a CW movie.
Yeah.
And you were a moody teenager.
Yeah.
You know, who like the girl was like walking up to, and she was excited to talk because you're kind of cute, and you know you wanted to say hey to her, but you couldn't say it too seriously. But you had to still be thoughtful and cute. So you kind of looked to the side with your sideburns showing, and you're like,
Hey. How's it going?
I think that's if that's not environmentalism, I don't know what is.
That's what today's show is about. The CW's canceled show. Hey. It only had one episode because the script consisted of just people saying hey.
Well,
it was half an hour of just guys and girls talking to each other and just going, hey. It only lasted one episode, but I was amazed to see how much emotion was conveyed.
Was that a good?
Yours was
teenage girl voice. I was going for there.
I didn't. You know what? I was so into it. It was so convincing. I wasn't able to come out of it until you just called it out. I was like, I was so convinced.
You were convinced?
I was like, that's the girl.
That's the real thing.
That's the real deal.
I bring the thunder when I'm doing my voices. The thunder.
That was the name of the opening theme song of Hey, was Bring the Thunder.
Bring the Thunder.
Mm-hmm. By not Paula Cole, it was Paul Cole.
It was Paul A. Cole.
Yes.
Not Paula Cole.
A. Cole.
Paul, and then he kept the A.
With Bring the Thunder.
The A was not capitalized.
Because
the way that in his culture.
Yes.
The way that they do middle names, the middle name is lowercase. Like every other, they still capitalize proper names except for middle names. Middle names are lowercase.
I never knew until now. This is the kind of podcast that we want to kick off for you guys. We're keeping it all. I'm not taking it out.
Still
what?
Tired.
Yeah.
And slow.
Okay.
From that weekend.
Yes.
In the forest.
Still.
Yeah.
My goodness. That's lasted forever.
Yeah. And you remember that weekend in the forest was months ago.
Ages ago. We were lost in the forest. That explains why I'm so tired too.
You know, you look at gigantic trees and you think, these trees are gonna wash away my sadness. But I think they gave me their sadness from all the fires.
Well, we did connect with the trees. So we went out, we saw the General Sherman, we saw the sequoias, we did all these great nature trips over the summer. And now I'm incredibly happy that I did because we're not getting out there anytime soon.
We'll never see them again.
Never again. Actually.
No, they're fine. They've done a good job of keeping all that stuff.
And actually, this was a really cool thing that this has nothing to do with today's podcast, but we talked about Smokey, we talked about the California wildfires and all of that.
Don't mess with Smokey.
Don't mess with Smokey.
On this show.
You know that because you're a fan of the show.
Yes.
But I was going to say, one of my favorite campgrounds that was very close to where I lived was Buckhorn. And Buckhorn was in the path of the Bobcat fire. Yeah. And I was watching and I was going, oh no, my favorite campsite is gone. Guess what? It's not.
It's not gone.
It's not gone. It's still there.
The trees and everything?
Everything.
Wow.
Somebody posted photos of the site and I was like, I cannot believe how much that site survived. How did it do such a thing? How?
Did they protect it?
Maybe.
Maybe the firefighting force was like, hey.
They were like, hey.
And they came in and they protected.
The fire came and the firemen went, hey.
Also, the trees there aren't that young. Like they're kind of older growth trees. So
yeah, you taught me that.
It's possible that those trees are just
they just make it.
The fire went through and there was some damage down below, but that most of the long life stuff is like, wow, all right,
we're sticking around.
Let's make babies.
Yeah, so if you're an older tree, you can weather the fire.
You can weather the fire.
Bring the thunder.
Yeah.
Well, today's subject doesn't have anything to do with that, but I am going to tell you it is such a roundabout tangential way, which I know we don't like to do on the show.
We don't do tangents, Jacob.
It's a tangential way that I even came to this subject. I've been binging this show on TV called Alone.
Called Supernatural.
Supernatural. No, I do watch that too. Shh, no, we're not supposed to talk about that publicly. Hey. No, I've been watching this show called Alone, and it's been getting a lot more popularity. It's been on for many years by the History Channel, but apparently one season is on Netflix, and now people are watching it. But it's basically a TV show where people go out and they're survivalists, and they have to fight against the elements, and so you're watching them build traps and build homes and learn how to hunt and basically survive, right?
Stay alive.
Stay alive.
Stay alive.
Out there. Exactly.
Stay alive.
And that's how they do it. They sing the Bee Gees
sing
the whole time. But
then the fish and the squirrels and everything they want to eat just show up and then jump into their traps.
If you sing "Staying Alive," fish will just jump right out of the water.
Jump out of the water into your hands and say, "Eat me."
People don't know that, but that's a fishing hack from the Biofriendly Planet. You're welcome.
No one will starve at the end of the world if they just sing some Bee Gees.
So the show is, teaching survival techniques, but most of us aren't going to do that, right? Like a lot of this stuff that you watch in the show, it's, if the winner gets $500,000, but the things that they have to endure, the months of being completely isolated and having to learn how to take care of themselves. Most people on planet Earth
who like to do it don't want to do that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. A lot. I think that even your most extreme survivalist would watch it and be like, "Hey, again, different, yeah,
sure."
But I thought to myself, I was like, "Well, what about
Bob?
Great film with Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss. What about surviving indoors?" And I know this. I'm getting there. I promise. We are surrounded by a lot of
astronauts.
Is this Noel Mad Libs? It's like I leave a blank and he just fills it in. We're surrounded by
What I'm trying to do is to take as long as possible to get to the point. I'm trying to throw in as many curveballs as I can.
Oh, man.
In order to see if you can keep on point.
If I can keep on point.
Let's do this.
We are surrounded by astronauts.
Yes.
No, we're surrounded by, electronics and things in our homes, conveniences. We have TVs, we have iPads, we have video game consoles, we have blenders, we have toasters, we have all of these things, and our impulse, especially in modern society, is the toaster breaks, throw it away, buy a new one, right?
Yeah.
That's the impulse. It's like, this doesn't work anymore, get rid of it.
I'm done with it.
Yeah. Well, what if I told you that a cool way that you could help the planet and help the environment is to learn how to fix things?
I would say, Jacob, that sounds like a lot of work.
It does sound like a lot of work. It does. But for people who are afraid of learning how to do all things, there are solutions.
What?
Right.
What?
So before I get into
like places you can learn to fix your toaster?
Yes.
Like the internet?
No. It's even better. Now, in our COVID world, this is not very ideal at the moment because the function of these shops are mostly closed down. But while I was looking into this, and I've got tons of different places that are involved in this new kind of fixer-upper movement, right? But the first thing I found...
Is that what they call it, the fixer-upper movement?
No, I just called it that.
Oh, that's nice.
Can we hashtag that?
Let's recoin it.
Fixer-upper movement. I like it. So there's this thing called a repair cafe.
Fix it, butthead. How about that?
Yeah, that's even more aggressive and more our style.
If calling people buttheads, they might not like that. But I feel like they should be called buttheads because they didn't fix it before.
Okay.
Sorry, is that a bad hashtag?
No. I think it's all about spitballing. It's about you gotta find it. You gotta find it. Fixer-upper, something. There's something there that could land on a t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
So there are these things called repair cafes.
Okay.
And so when I found repaircafe.org, that's the site. The first thing I noticed, I was like, okay, the welcome video, it's, I hear the woman talking and she's got an accent. I find out that it's like a thing in Amsterdam and I'm like, doggone it. This is probably something that's so cool. It's way over on the other side of the pond and we won't have access to anything nice like this. But then I scroll.
We never get nice things.
We never get nice things. No, then I scroll down and the very first video, like the check out one of our cool cafes, guess where it is?
Ireland?
Pasadena.
What?
Yes, in Pasadena.
What?
Yes, it's right here.
We can do it here.
We could do it here. So where we are located, so there are, I think it was 2,000 repair cafes around the world now in 35 countries. It was started in 2009 by, was I good enough to remember this lady's name? Here we are. The Repair Cafe was initiated by Martine Postma in Amsterdam.
Okay.
So this was her idea. She started in Amsterdam, and since 2009, these things have opened up all over the world. And so the one in Pasadena, this super cool video.
Okay.
This was made in 2016. This Repair Cafe opens up once a month, and people, definitely pre-COVID would line up for the opportunity.
Yeah.
But in this place, and this is all volunteer, you have a sewing table with a bunch of ladies that have sewing machines, know how to sew buttons, know how to sew zippers, patches, whatever. And so you get in line, and these ladies will help and maybe teach, if you want, on how to fix that dress that tore. Or that jacket that you loved, but the zipper's busted. So they'll do it for you.
Okay.
So then you pan over here, and then there's people that are working on air conditioning units, toasters, blenders, people that are gifted in these skills and abilities, and they're dedicating their time. There's a guy who's got a bicycle rack, and he's volunteering his time because he just worked on his bike so much, he figured out just basic things you need to know. So people would wheel on their bikes, lift them up there, and show, you how to fix it, or he just fix it for you. If you don't have the ability to stop and learn how to do it, this group was dedicated to once a month fixing things for people. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That's great.
Right. So I was like, okay, as soon as things start opening up, because I looked it up and they're not doing these anymore. But with masks and maybe as we're slowly reopening, it's something that we could do. Right?
Okay.
Would you do that? Would you go to this Repair Cafe for something?
Well, okay. I mean, possibly. Possibly. I have two things.
Okay. I want only one of them.
Okay. When you say pan over here, are you meaning like in film, like I'm going to pan my vision over here to now we have a guy fixing air conditioners?
Yeah.
Or do you mean like pan for gold, and if you search carefully and closely and shake around some water through
you turkey. Did I say pan over here?
You totally did.
I totally did. You guys, look, we've been in the movie business for a long time. I don't know why I instinctively. Okay, so you're watching the video.
I just wonder how many people know what that means.
Right. So what I meant was you're watching the video, and then we look over in this general direction, and there's somebody working on this. Pan over here. Good call.
So it's not like
wasn't baking pans.
You're
panning for gold.
You're panning for gold, and the new gold is over here on the side where the air conditioner is being fixed by this team of air conditioner repairmen who are the best.
It would have been so good if in the Repair Cafe you did look over and there was a panning for gold, like there was a prospector. And you're like, come over here.
Do you know what? Here's how they were doing it.
Yeah.
Here's how I'm going to pitch into the conversation today.
Let's do it.
You have a bunch of old computers.
Okay.
That are sitting over in the corner of this place.
Yeah.
And they're cracking into the computers and they're pulling out the chip.
Yeah.
And they're pulling out the motherboard and they're harvesting gold and silver.
Yeah.
And they're dropping it in royal water, which is like this combination of acids that can expel that can release
royal
gold.
Water.
Yeah, and then they're getting gold from your old computer. And then literally panning it out. Well,
so
not
you're
literally,
panning for gold, but in a 21st century.
Sort of, maybe.
It is.
I'm just saying.
But it still has to be an old.
Works if we
has to be a prospector.
Enough.
It still has to. I want to hear a prospector digging into a computer right now.
Anybody. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find out how to get some gold into your computer parts, just come on over here and hand me your stuff.
Perfection. That's why you're on the show.
That's the only reason I'm here.
You need a drink of water?
Yeah.
One second.
It. Yeah.
Once you go prospector, you have to hydrate. It's exhausting.
I'm not 41 anymore. Jacob.
You're not.
I'm 42.
You're only 42 once.
And I'm only going to be 42 this once.
But no, that's a good idea, and they do that.
They do that.
Yes.
I'll see.
Yes.
Well, okay. So what I really was going to say is that this is a pretty cool idea because I think that we sort of have lived we live in this America where you want to have the newest iPhone and the coolest computer and the best pants.
Yes.
Right? And if you don't have those three things, you're worthless.
That's all you need.
Right? Mm-hmm. So everyone's trying to get them. Right? And what's worse is you have Apple admitting that they're doing things to make your battery fail.
Yes.
And that they're packing your technology with more and more memory intensive apps, and their updates are requiring more and more memory, which makes your old phone that you'd like to keep now something that needs to be harvested for gold by a prospector. And the same with the computers, right? So it's kind of I think it's a good point to bring up, because we've set ourselves up in the society to have things that don't work forever anymore.
Right.
Your washing machines, all of it. It all is designed basically
to break
in a certain amount of time, so that you have to get a new one. And this is a really great hack, at least to some degree, for some of that, to be like, you know what? Okay, so if you're going to force me to buy, or to buy a new phone every 3 years, then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear this phone open. I'm going to break it open, and I am going to make sure that every single piece of this phone that can be reused and that is useful is recycled or used or sold as a precious metal or something that can be. And that way you're at least doing something to make less damage to the planet. And hey, maybe you get some cash out of it as well. And my pants, I need to have new pants, but the button on this pant broke. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and I'm going to actually get this button fixed and keep these pants. I'm going to put a patch on the knee hole that I always get on my pants. Always. What's happening?
Is my phone that's recording this ringing? I may have forgotten.
Did you not put on airplane mode?
Yeah, so there's a good possibility that at this moment of the show, if they're watching the YouTube video, it's just shaking uncontrollably.
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious. I am very sorry. I'm usually good about getting in the airplane mode.
I'm the one who normally doesn't do airplane mode. Yeah.
But back to what you were talking about.
Oh,
what I was going to say is you knolled it. You knolled it. You knolled it.
That's a very
Literally,
nice thing for you to say.
Yes, this is a official Biofriendly podcast moment where Noel knolled it. Okay, hashtag knolled it.
I like the thing about butthead.
Yeah, butthead's
Can we
fine.
keep that hashtag?
I know, but I want to keep knolled it because you do this on the show, which is I bring a subject that you're like often don't know what I'm about to talk about, and then you just you give us the. You give us the core of what I'm trying to say. You find it and you knolled it.
Thanks, pal.
Yeah. So so for
the rest of the day, can I just get your shit?
Please just be an old prospector. Yeah, you're gonna need a lot of water if you're gonna do that all day.
I am.
But no, you got to the heart of what I was starting to find, because look, I'm gonna confess to our audience, I am the poster boy for this problem. I am literally, and this show is not to shame you. You're driving in your car right now. You're looking at your brand new iPhone, your whatever. Well, not while you're driving, but you're looking at your new devices. You're shopping for the fancy stuff. I'm guilty of it.
We all heard the story. If you listen to the podcast regularly, you heard the story that Jacob bought an iPad.
Yes,
and then his son purloined it, took it
from me,
and so then he got a new iPad, and then his other son purloined that one and took that one. And now he has a third iPad.
Yeah, I do.
Granted, this happened over some years, I think.
Yeah. I tell you, it was over time. But I am definitely somebody who I got pulled into what they want. They want a guy like me, because I watch the Apple events where they're like, here's our new Apple Watch, and this is our new iPad, and this is our new iPhone, and I just drool and I salivate. And I love all the gadgets.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is I have an Xbox One. It's probably 5 years ago.
Nice.
And it was actually given to me. I was fortunate enough to know somebody who wasn't using it anymore, and it worked fine. It wasn't reading discs as well, but it worked fine for like downloading games and playing games. And so we as a family used it.
Nice.
And just recently it started to break down, and the first thought in my head was like, well, we should probably get rid of that thing. and get a new one because they're going to be dropping the new ones. And I'm looking at the price and I'm going, oh man, it's a lot to spend on a new.
The old one's now obsolete.
Right,
That's how they do it.
That's how they do it.
Yeah.
But along comes an organization that their entire aim and their entire goal is to get people to fix things like my Xbox. An organization called iFixit.com.
Okay.
And these guys are kind of heavy hitters in this whole industry.
Okay.
And so I didn't know this, but it apparently took a lawsuit against Apple, by the way, to get them to do the battery replacement service.
Really?
Yeah, because they were making it impossible.
Yeah.
If your battery was gone, you couldn't swap it out. And so there was a lawsuit, and they're like, fine, I guess we'll let you replace your battery and milk this device for a little bit longer.
Well, it's this whole idea that Steve Jobs had that you shouldn't get into your computer. You shouldn't be faced. You should be. It should just work. You turn on, you get it. It does what it does, and you never need to open it or touch it or do anything to it.
Right.
Which then the idea is, oh well, if that's the theory of the company, and that's how we should do it. Then let's take advantage of that and let's make it so you can't get your flipping battery out of the thing unless you break your phone.
Exactly. So
Stupid.
I think it is stupid.
I am returning my iPhone and replacing it with a brick.
Smart. I am not going to return any of my awesome devices. No,
Okay.
I want to talk about, when I brought this up, you said, yeah, it sounds like a lot of work. And I know that people have busy lives, and the Biofriendly podcast is not here to say, hey, you have to stop everything and try to dig into your broken Xbox and fix it. But if we were to, as a society, start figuring out how to fix some of our electronics, whether it's an appliance in your kitchen or it's your washer and dryer, if you were to find these little things and milk their life a little bit further, the impact is huge.
Yeah.
It really is. There was a stat. Let's see if I have it ready to go. Yeah. It takes vast amounts of the Earth's precious resources to make electronic items, but a few of those items last more than a few years.
Okay.
So there's this group called, I was about to do iFixit, but I'm just reading this stat. This is a group called the Restart Project.
Right.
So you can check out the restartproject.org. The Restart Project aims to change this. We are starting a movement to make electronics last longer, running hundreds of community repair events called Restart Parties. So again, poorly timed with COVID, but what they were basically saying is that if you were to extend a gadget's lifetime, we space out and slow the impacts of manufacture. So if you can find a way to extend even the desire to get a brand new iPhone. So if we used every mobile sold this year for just 1/3 longer, we could prevent the yearly greenhouse gas emissions of a country like Singapore.
Well, yeah, they still don't realize how much the greenhouse gas impact is of all these devices you have.
Yeah.
Just the battery of the devices we talk about a lot, but all of it.
All of it,
Just
the whole thing. Everything that I'm holding in my hand took a lot to make.
I mean, it's absurd how much we ship these components around the planet to then build them in different places and have parts of them built all over, and then they send them back just because you want to go where the labor's cheap.
Yeah.
It's
It's
bananas.
Yeah.
It's bananas.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree. We should absolutely be doing something about that. I mean, I think that they're so it's all right. It's like the story about razor companies, right? So the idea that you could make a razor that would last forever.
Razor was what? The phone?
I love the modern world so much. I'm talking about something you shave your face with.
Oh, the
Jacob?
original razor.
I'm talking about.
I'm sorry. I'm living in 2020.
If you're watching the video, you'll see Jacob's beard, and you'll understand that there's a reason why he has no idea what I'm talking about. There's no concept.
Touche, Carol. Touche. Because I do look like Grizzly Adams right now.
But you know what? That's so true, though.
The real razor.
That's the kind of thing someone would name their product the razor. Absolutely, because that's cool.
You said, the funny thing is my head went, is he talking about the old Motorola Razr phone?
Right.
Or is he talking about the Razr scooter that my son has? Like, which Razor is he talking about? You're actually talking about the legitimate origin of the name Razr.
The razor, like a razor. So right.
Occam's razor is that he's talking about the razor.
Razor blade.
Right. Okay. Go ahead.
A blade. How about that?
Blade.
That's better.
A blade.
Maybe it's an maybe that's more an Australian thing.
It's
like the
just
thing.
my buffoonery.
Okay.
That I didn't get that you were talking about an actual razor to shave your face.
Yeah. So
your point being,
these companies, they make the razors so that you need to replace the head, which has the actual blades on it, over and over and over and over and over for the rest of your life.
Right.
Because if they do that, then they can keep selling you blades.
Right.
Forever.
Right.
I think I have a Mach 3 razor.
Yeah.
That I bought back when it came out, practically like possibly the 90s, man.
In the early Machs.
Forever ago, right?
Back when they were doing 3s.
And
I think they're on Mach 10 now.
I know, and I've been replacing those blades for 20 years.
Right.
That's a business. That's how you keep a business going, right? Like it's I think you could blame some pharmaceutical. I'm going to say some because I want to be careful that we don't get
canceled
banned, again,
flagged. Yeah.
But pharmaceutical companies focusing on how do we make something that can relieve the problem but not cure the problem,
right? Because
then we can keep selling. You can keep taking a pill every day, right? So that's how you make money,
right?
Well, now it's the same thing with phones and everything else. That is so harmful for the environment. That is such a bad thing for our planet. To live that way. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be that Maytag made a washer that the whole joke was that the Maytag repairman was sitting there playing
never got
cards,
called,
figuring out what to do because he never got called because it was so dang reliable.
I remember.
And people would keep those things for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 days, give it to their grandkids.
You would inherit your Maytag washer.
That was a good company. That's a quality product, right? Good company. And that's not. Who does that now?
No one.
Who does that? So this is what I like about this is it's a way to fight back against that because it is so terrible for the environment.
Right.
You waste so much.
Yes.
Beyond the greenhouse gases and the climate change effect that that we always put number one on
absolutely
on our thing. Yeah. Climate change effect. There's just the waste of it.
Yeah.
The filling up landfills with our garbage, with our crud.
Hold your calls, everybody. I know this
People
is intense,
really
but they're really right now they're calling us on their iPhones.
Hey, don't you?
Hey,
How
don't
dare
you?
you?
Why I oughta?
No, but that's nice. 1/3 longer. That's a nice goal. I think we should stick with that because that isn't telling people because we do want to make things you can actually do.
Yeah.
And we know that it's incredibly difficult when they're causing your phone to be obsolete, to keep it for too long. Yeah. But if you, they try to set it up so that you have a 2-year payment plan, you use your phone for 2 years, and then big time hit, hey, we'll give you a good deal to buy a new one to replace it. Your phone's up, you don't have a payment, let's replace your phone, right? So to keep money coming into the companies. So if you can be like, okay, instead of paying for that phone for my whole life, I'll pay for it for 2 years. And then the 3rd year, I'm going to take all that money and I'm going to put it in a savings account that I'm going to use one day to take over the world.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Sorry, as soon as I did it's totally.
It's okay. This is, you're not 41 anymore.
You're not 41, I'm 42. Yeah. Exactly. Because, so again, the painless green philosophy that we have that you just talked about, the purpose of this isn't to make you throw away your devices.
I mean, you
right?
can't. You can't. Look where we live. I mean, to some degree, we're
kind of beholden to the convenience that are given to us by smartphones and computers and it's the world we live in.
Right.
But I know I'm going to take this opportunity.
Although,
what?
Maybe something else that would be kind of fun is to start to find ways to go old school.
Oh, totally. I mean,
this. Okay, so plan your route before you go.
Right.
Don't use when you're going somewhere and you don't know where you're going, see if you can use a map beforehand to determine I'm going to go here, then I'm going to go there, and then see if you can make it. Make that a game. I'm not going to use my phone today, right? To take out little things that you're using your devices less.
Yeah,
maybe that would be a fun
become less dependent on it. That's
thing to add on to our fixing it.
Absolutely,
yourself
finding ways to kind of, and I mean that's why Alone and this survivalist thing kind of sparked where we're talking about this right now is that as a society, we've gotten very comfortable because the machines, the computers do a lot of the work for us. And there are a lot of skills that I think are important to have, despite that the machine will get you where you need to go. Sometimes it's good to know you know how to get somewhere in case you don't have access to a map, your phone's dead. It's important to learn those things. So I think that's a good point.
Like we opened the show today, I was talking about how my head felt slow.
Yeah.
You know, then I was blaming a trip to a mythical forest.
Months ago. Yeah.
Right. As some way to segue to a forest topic we weren't even going to do.
Right.
But like, I think that a good reason, one of the reasons that I'm feeling that way, and that a lot of people are feeling that way, is because so much of what we normally have to use our brains for is covered. It's taken. Like you don't have to do that anymore. I've got something to do it for me. Right. And so it's lazy. And I think that I do think that sometimes I get foggy headed because of that. If I'm not reading enough or playing some kind of puzzle or doing some game or doing something to get my brain working. I agree. Work on my Spanish.
Yeah. Yeah, learn a language. It's just, you're right. It's that we talk about this all the time. This is total old man talk right here. But
welcome to Old Man
chat. But when we
talk about old man things.
When we were kids, and you referenced something that you thought to be true,
polishing mahogany.
You had to actually go you couldn't grab the phone and get the answer instantaneously, whether it was a movie.
My own car.
I feel like this segment needs old-timey music playing right there. So,
replacing the bristles on my brush for my hair.
Are you talking about a razor? What the heck was I even talking about?
I'm so sorry, I keep doing this to you.
You turkey. I was talking about something.
Noel messes with Jacob. That's what this episode is called.
No, I was saying something that had a point. Anyway,
wait. Let's go back to the top.
Okay.
Back to the top. So when we started this whole thing, so we were talking about how we're old men.
We're old men, and you could answer a question if you were in a debate with your friend, and you'd be like, no, I'm pretty sure that's true. Back in the day, you weren't able to confirm it right then and there in the moment. You know what I mean? Like it was a couple weeks. You had to go look at the movie, confirm the scene, find the information, and then you could tell your friend, "Ha! I told you I was right.
I was right. You were wrong. I win. You suck.
I'm
great.
Go me." Exactly.
Which now we can do in an instant.
Instantaneously.
On social media. In front of millions.
And you can go on your phone. Well, true. You can go on your phone while you're talking to somebody and just get the answer to the question immediately. And there is some value to using your brain. We got to
figure it out. Oh, no, we got to, right.
You got to think about it.
Got to remember. No, yeah.
So
well, it's like how many people now, I would venture to guess that right now, particularly after the pandemic when everybody's been stuck indoors with less to do and less ability to get out and live and more stuck with their devices or whatever else.
Sure.
I would venture to guess that most people, if you ask them, hey, who is the guy who played Goose in Top Gun? What was the actor's name or whatever? And and you might be a fan of it, and you might be like, oh, hold on. He was in Revenge of the Nerds. He was in you know what? I'm just gonna look it up. And you look, how many people now, when you get asked a question about, it's Anthony Edwards, by the way.
I knew it was Anthony Edwards. I was gonna be like Anthony Edwards, but I wanted you to get through your point.
Right. So, but like, how many times are you asked like, and who is in that, by the way? And you sit there and you go, yeah, it's Samsonite. I was way off. And you can't remember, like or just the name of a city or a place that the type of what was that vegetable that was like it. Yeah. There's so much. I maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just gonna die, and this is the beginning of my long fade to.
No, it's you're digging into the files, right?
Yeah,
you're exercising the brain.
Yes, and I feel like we don't do that anymore, and so often. And it happens to me, and I think it happens to a lot of people I know, and maybe I'm wrong here, and if so, then call in.
Now it's okay to call if you'd like to call now, but not my phone that's recording this.
We're not forced to think about that, and I think it does kind of put a fog on, puts a little bit of a slowdown to the old noodle.
I think that's fair, and I think that technology and computers, phones, all the comforts that we are given now are good. They're good things. We're grateful for them. But as a society as a whole, it's good for us to know how to do things without them. Right? You have to have a good balance of, I know how to read a map. You know, if I really wanted to learn a foreign language, I'm going to learn a foreign language. If I'm thinking of quotes or movies or characters, it's okay to challenge your brain to find them.
I'm not going to use the phone.
I'm not going to use the phone. Yeah. I'm going to dig deeper, and I'm going to find that thought. And if I absolutely cannot, and it's literally days, and you're going insane, look it up. That's fine. But it's okay to not depend upon these machines so much. So anyway, that's a roundabout way to come back to the original thing that I was saying, which is I am guilty of
everything.
Everything.
Everything that you've been accused of.
Everything I've been accused
Ladies
of.
And gentlemen,
I did it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I confess.
Jacob pleads guilty.
I think you could use that audio file against me in so many ways. I just said, I confess, I'm guilty. You could use that anywhere. I'm screwed.
I'm sorry. That was the last time I'm going to do it. Maybe.
It's fine. No, maybe. Surrounded by astronauts.
That is the best Spaceball / Biofriendly podcast reference I have ever heard.
I had to clean it up a little bit, and then I had to throw it back to the fact that you said astronauts earlier.
That was amazing.
So, hey.
That was amazing.
Hey, that's what I do. That's what I do.
We should pay you.
Maybe we should make a t-shirt that says, I'm surrounded by astronauts.
I'm surrounded by astronauts.
Oh, that's gold.
That's one of them.
Write to us and let us know if you want a t-shirt that says, I'm surrounded by astronauts. Again, my point was I buy devices, I do the thing. But this episode, what I'm hoping will happen to you, my wonderful, beautiful, Biofriendly podcast listener, is that you'll feel inspired that maybe that device that's not working as well, that if you wanted to take a second, look on YouTube, look online, see if there's a resource that somebody out there says, all you had to do was unscrew this little side panel on your toaster, this, that, and the other thing, and boom, fixed. You don't have to get a new toaster. It can last.
Had to this, that, and the other thing.
It's just this, that, and the other thing, and not a lot of work.
It was actually it'd be kind of it. You might find it's kind of fun.
Exactly.
And when you get into it, it's one of those things that like it's a rabbit hole, right? It's like it's like you. Maybe, I don't know if people do this anymore, but, you know, it used to be a thing that you'd see someone on your street was working on a motorbike or working on a car, like or fixing that thing. It was almost like once that was started, you had to keep improving the motorbike or get another motorbike to fix up or get rid of the one the one you fixed. Now let's get rid of that one and get a new one to fix it up. Right. And I've even been caught of that with dirt bikes a little bit with my brother. Yeah. Like it gets fun. Like it can be something where you get engaged into it and you start to pick up some tools and you'll own a soldering iron all of a sudden. Yeah. And you'll be like, oh, let's use this thing for stuff. Yeah. And off you go, and it becomes joyful and fun. And we're not saying change your life. Don't make it so that you're doing this with everything if you can't. But if you could extend the life of what you have a little bit, and if you could use things a little longer than you planned, and you can make that difference, you will have an impact on saving this planet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Period.
And all the things from your clothes to your appliances, the things in your home, the pieces of furniture. Getting away from this throwaway mentality will help. I understand the need that you need new things and things break down, but we have gotten a little bit too reliant upon the latest and greatest, and now this goes in the trash.
Right.
When the truth is, the thing that you have, there might be ways to fix it. There might be ways, and if you do have an Apple device or some sweet new computer, extend the period of time that you would have it by 1/3. Like just go a little bit longer if you're buying them there every 2 years. Go a little bit longer. Yeah. Go 3 years if you really want to make a difference, And then these are the times that you can learn. And before we close out, all I want to say is this, ifixit.com. So these guys have been at it for a long time, and they've been in the game for 17 years. And they have created on their site 70,000 step-by-step repair guides for more than 30,000 products. Wow. And I literally went to these guys and I typed in Xbox, My Edition, and they had everything. Wow. Everything. They had the guide how to open it up. They had you need to replace the fan? Here it is. You need to replace this part? Here it is. They have torn into it, and now they're starting to work with other companies. And this announcement came yesterday where back in 2012, they started working with Patagonia, the clothing company, and started having repair guides so that their outdoor gear would last longer.
Wow.
Then they worked closely with HP for years, and then they recently helped Motorola launch a successful aftermarket parts solution. So I wanted to share that there are resources, there's information out there, and I'm going to post after this episode, I'm going to post the video of the Pasadena Repair Cafe because it's charming.
That's cool.
It's charming. Okay. I mean, and other things that I forgot to mention because we talked about cutlery knives. Like there's this guy sitting there and there's this very rusted old machete, and he's treating it and teaching the person how to fix it.
Cool.
And so that's the heart of this, is that we've got a lot of stuff in our homes these days, and if it breaks down or stops working the way that you like, there might be a way to fix it.
Yeah.
And that is this episode's Biofriendly podcast.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Is there anything else you wanted to?
Well, I was thinking it's funny. It actually applies to me today.
How so?
My wife, and obviously this is not...
This is private. Nobody has to hear it.
This is not something I can tell publicly, but
I love that you're about to say that.
But I'm going to. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
We actually, she found we had to get rid of a couch.
Yeah.
She actually found a service that picks up the couch, and they prioritize like finding a new place for it, and they found a new place for our couch.
That's amazing.
Now, granted, we had to pay more than you would to just junk something, and
Sure.
so it's not necessarily great for not everybody
Sure.
can do that, and I understand that, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Of course.
some people just put the free sign on the couch and put it out in front of their yard, and that works too.
And that'll work too,
you know?
because people will take it.
Yeah, yeah, but we had a few
Absolutely.
other things, like we had a bike, we had a bunch of other stuff. But there are people out there who care more and more now. There are services out there that care, and you may have to pay a slight premium to do that. But that's another thing you can think with, is how can we repurpose this or let someone else use this old bike or this old thing or whatever. Yeah, and then you know. You can clean things up and make it so it's less harmful if you do get something new.
Yeah.
And by the way, we kept that couch for like 20. I was going to say 20. It's not. That's a lie.
But about
Like
14 years.
Yeah.
That's a good life for that couch.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is my phone going again?
It's the Los
it's-
Angeles Times.
The LA Times is giving me notifications. Yeah. I am just blowing it today. No,
blowing it up because your phone is going
crazy. The last thing I'll say is because I was so focused on reading that iFixit thing, but you said the thing about your brother and you working on the bikes. There is something, and this is total dad mode, and this is parent mode for all of you parents. There is something about imparting wisdom to your children, your families, and I've been thinking about that more and more, about teaching them things and teaching them to fix things. And your bike breaks down and you show them the thing that's going to get that chain back on there.
But I'm crippled by incompetence.
But that's okay, because now, thanks to this incredible reservoir of information out on the internet that you're not supposed to look at because you got to challenge your own brain, but you can occasionally look at in case you need the information.
You mean I don't have to just make it up?
You don't have to make it up. You can find people who've done the work for you, and you can find a way to fix it and completely stop how incompetent you really are.
That's great. Yeah. I'm so excited there's a solution to my incompetence.
Yeah.
I accept
the challenge. So that's it. I'm just saying, guys.
This has been your beacon of light for a gloomy environment.
I almost said sound years. And you kicked it off first. So here.
Because I was my last time to cut you off in the middle of your thought. Was with
It was perfect. More than just charismatic megafauna.
Yes. Featuring greater parasympathetic nerve activity.
I'm always thankful when you get that one, because I for some reason, I always forget featuring. Nature is perfect. Look at eggs.
Dolphins don't quit.
We are y'all inclusive.
And
don't
mess with Smokey on this show.
The show.
And there's one more now. We got to add it.
I'm surrounded by astronauts.
Surrounded by astronauts. Surrounded by astronauts. Because it's only going to end up on a shirt if we remember it, and we're only going to remember it if we do it every week.
We do it every week. Okay, so for the rest of 2020, that one's after Smokey. I think it's great. I think it's great. Thank you guys for tuning into the Biofriendly podcast. Make sure to keep spreading the word.
Yes, tell your friends.
Yeah, we have some awesome fans that are always kind of tweeting about the show and supporting it. But we want you to keep spreading the word and letting people know that there is a show, a podcast that's teaching about the environment and things you can do, but it's not just going, you have to change your life and you can't do anything right and shame. So
right, and we're not also just going to tell you that the answer to global warming is voting. And
right, it's true.
Which, look, I'm not going to say that voting won't have an effect.
It's important.
Sure, but that's a kind of like it makes it pretty existential, and it doesn't really make it something that you can actually get your hands on and fix.
Yeah,
and that has always been our complaint about the argument for climate change is that you got to be action oriented here, folks. And what can I do? What can the average, normal, everyday person do? Yeah, and that's what we're about.
We got to change the way you think. In your life,
you think better, smarter, and you're smarter when you think of that stuff.
Exactly.
Things smarter, better.
It's the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.